Did you see him force a lock?
No. I only know he does not look like the owner.
The error was not in the garage. A single assumption became an official fact.
One sentence describes uncertainty. The other describes a crime in progress. The error was never in the garage, but in the assumption. Evidence speaks louder than prejudice.
Error was not in the garage. It was in the verb. At 8:14 on Saturday morning, Laura Keswick stood behind her kitchen window and called emergency services. "There is a man at the large house across from mine," she said. "I do not recognize him. The garage opened while he was standing there. Did you see him damage the door? No. Did you see him force a lock? No. I only know he does not look like the owner." By the time the call reached patrol, the summary had changed. Caller witnessed forced entry. Isaac Rowland knew nothing about that line. He was standing in the driveway of his own home on Kingsley Row, one hand resting on the handle of an electric mower. Grass clung to the knees of his old jeans. A blue garage remote was clipped beside the battery key at his waist. The garage door stood open behind him. Inside, tools hung in measured rows above a clean workbench. A utility bill rested beside a box of mower blades. The name printed at the top was Isaac Rowland. The address was number 27 Kingsley Row. The cloud controller had recorded a normal opening cycle, authorized rolling code device, paired homeowner remote, no alarm, no access failure. None of that appeared on Sergeant Colin Merritt's terminal when his cruiser turned onto the street. He saw the large brick house first. Then he saw Isaac's work clothes. Officer Mara Penfield arrived behind him. Merritt stepped from his cruiser with one hand near his belt. "Move away from the garage." Isaac released the mower handle. "This is my home. Keep your hands visible." Isaac raised them. Across the street, Laura remained on her porch. She had watched a white contractor carry a ladder into another yard earlier that week. She had asked about him in the neighborhood message group. She had not called the police. Merritt stopped several feet from Isaac. "Identification. My wallet is in my back pocket. Remove it slowly." Isaac handed him a driver's license. The address matched the house. Merritt looked at the card, then at the open garage. "Do you have keys?" Isaac held them out. "Property records will also confirm ownership." Merritt did not open the county property portal. "Possessing identification does not establish that you are authorized to be here." Isaac looked toward the garage. "The address on the license is the address behind you. People enter homes with stolen wallets every day." Isaac pressed the blue remote. The garage door lowered halfway, stopped, then rose again in a smooth, ordinary movement. Mara watched the track. There were no pry marks, no bent metal, no damaged lock. Merritt took the remote from Isaac's hand. This could have been taken with the keys. He placed it inside a temporary evidence bag, possible unauthorized access device. Isaac's jaw tightened. "The remote is paired to the homeowner account. The serial number can be verified. We will determine that." Mara stepped closer to the garage. A handwritten label above the workbench read Isaac Electrical. The utility bill carried the same name as the license. "Sergeant," she said quietly, "I do not see evidence of forced entry." Merritt kept his eyes on Isaac. "The caller was verified. That verifies who called," Mara said, "not what happened." Merritt glanced at her. She stopped speaking. He supervised the residential crime recommendations Mara hoped to receive that year. Laura moved closer to the end of her driveway. Merritt called to her. "Did you see him break the lock?" "I saw the door open. I assumed." "Stay back, ma'am. We are securing the scene." The unfinished sentence remained on both body cameras. Isaac lowered his hands slightly. "What physical entry damage did you confirm? We are past that question." For the first time, irritation entered Isaac's voice. "No, you skipped that question." He paused, then steadied himself. "Check the property record before you place me in custody." Merritt reached for his cuffs. "We are separating you from the scene until ownership is established. It is already available. Turn around." Isaac looked once at Mara. She had seen the license. She had seen the bill. She had seen the undamaged door. She said nothing. Isaac turned. The cuffs closed around his wrists on the top step of his own porch. The blue remote rested in a clear evidence bag on Merritt's cruiser. A dark government sedan turned onto Kingsley Road. It stopped in front of number 27. General Russell Halstead stepped out, saw Isaac in handcuffs, and crossed the lawn without looking at the watching neighbors. He stopped beside Merritt. "Which source confirmed forced entry?" No one answered. General Russell Halstead kept his attention on Sergeant Merritt. "Which source confirmed forced entry?" Merritt glanced toward Laura Keswick's porch. "The caller reported a burglary in progress." "That was not my question." Halstead's voice remained controlled. "Which source confirmed damage?" "Bypassed access or unlawful entry." Merritt shifted his stance. "We are still establishing ownership." "Then establish it." He looked at Isaac, still seated on the porch with his hands cuffed behind him. "I have an appointment with Mr. Rowland at this address." Merritt's expression changed slightly. "A personal relationship does not prove he owns the property." Halstead nodded once. "Correct." Neither does a neighbor failing to recognize him. Run the record. Captain Jocelyn Franks heard the exchange over the radio from the watch desk. She approved continued restraint until residents could be confirmed. She did not request the original emergency call. Merritt began dictating a preliminary narrative. Unknown male found controlling residential garage access. Possible stolen keys and remote. Ownership claim unverified. Officer Mara Penfield stood beside the cruiser. The blue remote remained inside the evidence bag. She read its serial number through the plastic and entered it into the garage controller portal listed on the manufacturer tag. The result appeared within seconds. Paired device. Account holder. Isaac Rowland. Authorized at property closing. Mara opened the county title index. Isaac Rowland had owned number 27 Kingsley Row for more than 2 years. Sergeant, she said, the remote and title both match him. Merritt looked at the screen without taking it. Identity fraud can include property records. There is no damage to the door. Do not fragment the scene with competing theories. Isaac heard him. You are calling every answer another form of the same accusation. Merritt turned toward him. You will have an opportunity to explain at the station. Across town, Nora Banks sat at the emergency dispatch console. Laura called again. I need to correct what I said earlier, she told Nora. I never saw him force the garage. It opened normally. I assumed he did not live there. Nora looked at the active incident. Caller witnessed forced entry. The senior call taker beside her shook his head. Units are already committed. Put it in secondary notes. They are treating it as a confirmed burglary. Do not distract officers during a live scene. Nora typed the correction but did not send it. For nearly a minute, the false wording remained the only version visible to patrol. On Kingsley Row, Merritt guided Isaac toward the cruiser. Isaac did not resist. Keep the remote sealed, he said. Preserve the original call in the garage log. Merritt gave Mara a brief look. He is building an alibi while we stand here. Halstead took out his phone. He called Captain Franks directly. I am not asking you to release him because of who I am, he said. Your officers have a matching title record, a paired access device, no entry damage, and a caller correcting her statement. Send a scene supervisor before transport. Franks opened the dispatch notes. The correction was not there. At the console, Nora looked again at the original waveform. Laura had said opened. The summary said forced. Nora appended the correction to the primary field. Then she sent the original call, the edited summary, and the caller callback into the quality assurance vault. The system preserved every revision and user timestamp. An alert reached Franks immediately. Caller denies observing forced entry. Franks opened the garage controller authentication. The blue remote had issued an authorized command before the emergency call. The serial number matched the device in Merritt's evidence bag. The homeowner account matched Isaac's license. The insurance policy and utility account matched as well. Franks keyed the radio. Do not transport. Remove restraints. Sergeant Merritt is not to edit the incident narrative. Merritt stopped beside the cruiser. Mara unlocked the cuffs. Only then did Franks ask Halstead how he knew Isaac. He is a retired command sergeant major, Halstead said. I once served under him. He looked at the evidence bag. That explains why I came here. It does not explain why your department ignored the county record. On Franks's screen, 4 times now sat beside one another. Authorized garage opening, emergency call, forced entry classification, handcuffs applied. Beneath them was Laura's correction. I did not see him break anything. 3 weeks later, Auditor Omar Beck began the joint review with the emergency call. He did not begin with Isaac's military record. He did not begin with General Halstead. He played Laura Keswick's original words. I saw the garage open. I do not recognize the man. Then he placed the patrol summary beside the transcript. Caller witnessed forced entry. One sentence describes uncertainty, Beck said. The other describes a crime in progress. Laura sat at the far end of the table. Sergeant Colin Merritt sat opposite her with a department representative. Beck moved to the physical scene. No broken lock, no damaged track, no alarm, no displaced property. No resident reporting a burglary. The blue garage remote remained sealed in its evidence bag. Its serial number appeared on the next screen. The device had been paired to Isaac Rowland's homeowner account on the day the property seized at 8:12 that Saturday morning. It issued an authorized command. The emergency call began 2 minutes later. Officer Mara Penfield read from her supplemental note. The license matched the address. The utility bill matched the name. The door showed no damage. I believe the burglary classification was unsupported. Why did you not say that clearly before the handcuffs were applied? Beck asked. Mara looked at Merritt. He controlled recommendations for the residential crime unit. And that affected your decision? Yes. Her later note had preserved the remote serial, the door photographs, and the property search. It had not erased her silence on the porch. Nora Banks testified next. She admitted hearing Laura's correction while officers were preparing to transport Isaac. "I typed it," Nora said. "I did not send it immediately." "Why?" A senior call taker said not to distract the scene. Beck displayed the delay, 58 seconds. During that time, the false classification remained the only version visible to patrol. Nora's quality assurance submission had preserved the original audio and every edit. The review recorded both decisions. Then Beck opened Merritt's preliminary report. It described the remote as recovered from a suspected intruder. Body camera footage showed Isaac removing it from his own belt and using it to demonstrate authorized access. The report also stated that the caller observed attempted forced entry. By the time Merritt added that sentence, Laura's correction had already reached the watch desk. "What new evidence supported that language?" Beck asked. Merritt leaned forward. "The totality of the circumstances. Name one circumstance showing force." Merritt did not answer. Only after the detention had been ruled unsupported did Beck ask General Halstead to speak. Halstead confirmed that Isaac was a retired command sergeant major and that they had arranged to meet at number 27. He did not list medals. He did not describe combat missions. "The county record proved he lived there," Halstead said. "My arrival changed the attention in the street. It did not change the facts. The findings were sustained: unlawful custodial escalation, failure to use available residence verification, false description of evidence recovery, post-event alteration of the incident basis, discriminatory enforcement. Merritt's supervisory certification was withdrawn immediately. His patrol authority was suspended. When the dishonesty finding became final, the department terminated him for cause and referred the case to the State Standards Board for decertification. A statewide integrity notice prevented him from quietly applying to another department while the proceeding remained open. He was not permitted to resign before the findings entered his permanent record. Auditors then examined 3 years of burglary calls under Merritt's command. They compared original caller audio with dispatch summaries, body camera footage, and arrest reports. 4 incidents contained the same pattern. A caller expressed uncertainty. The patrol record converted it into certainty. A residence proof was described as suspicious property. 2 pending prosecutions were returned to the county prosecutor. 1 was dismissed immediately. In the other, the defendant's arrest record was corrected after the remaining evidence failed without Merritt's report. 3 former detainees received written notice that their cases were under review. The county agreed to pay their record correction and filing costs rather than forcing them to discover the findings on their own. Captain Jocelyn Franks lost burglary scene approval authority and her field command assignment. For 1 year, she could not sign promotion evaluations or supervise felony response teams. During external monitoring, she was assigned to document compliance and required to testify in the review of earlier incidents. The finding was precise. She had not created the original distortion. She had converted it into institutional detention by approving force without checking the source. Nora's probation was extended by 6 months. She temporarily lost authority to classify felony in progress calls without secondary review. Mara lost eligibility for the residential crime unit that year. Their preservation actions were credited. Their delays remained in the record. Laura was required to sign a sworn correction. The Neighborhood Legal Fund refused to cover her civil expenses after messages showed that she had previously referred to Isaac as the groundskeeper without ever asking who owned the house. She was removed from the Neighborhood Safety Committee for 3 years. The civil settlement required a personal contribution from her, rather than allowing an insurer or neighborhood organization to absorb the entire cost. Isaac did not attend the committee vote. The department changed its emergency call system. Caller observation, caller assumption, dispatcher inference, and officer-confirmed fact now appeared in separate fields. A forced entry classification required a described act of breaking, bypassing, or damaging access. When identification matched an address, an access device functioned normally, and no damage existed, officers had to complete property verification before restraint. Caller corrections now appeared directly on patrol terminals with an audible alert. Each quarter, civilian auditors compared original calls with arrest reports. Any increase in certainty without new evidence triggered automatic review. Isaac requested no ceremony. He asked that the false burglary classification remain visible beside its correction. He also asked that every person affected by the earlier reports receive direct notice. The following Saturday, he replaced the battery in his mower. The blue remote had been returned. He pressed the button. The garage opened without hesitation. Isaac collected the extension cord, closed the door, and clipped the remote beside the mower battery. Its light blinked once, then the door settled quietly into its track. This is a fictional story about bias, evidence, silence, and accountability.